Hello everyone, it is Reversal and welcome back to another video of Knights and Dragons, and today I'm going to give you guys a follow-up on the story what happened between Majestic and Only the Best leaving the DK Empire. But before we get into that, I need you to understand what alliances are and what they do, and then we go into the story, and I'll also give you guys a follow-up on what these guilds have been doing. Because it's actually really great news on Knights and Dragons, I'm not gonna lie. These guilds have always been in the top 10, and them leaving the DK Empire is actually a really big thing. Let's take a look here. So alliances in general are there to support each other. People and guilds in alliances are there to help each other out whenever there's the need. They can swap members, they can coordinate attacks, they can have a lot of fun, you know, playing the game and chatting together. And there's a whole lot of benefits being in an alliance. So for the majority of the time that I can remember, the DK Empire has been on top in Knights and Dragons, like with a bunch of great guilds out there, always hitting the top positions, and Majestic and Only the Best were part of that, alongside with the Death Knights, Bomb Beyond Time, Triple X Danger, Bulls on Parade, Epic Knight, and the Night Raiders. These are guilds that have always been hitting top 10 for as long as I can remember, and these guilds have a lot of respect in the community. And whenever two of those guilds, or three of those guilds, are leaving that group, being the pinnacle of Knights and Dragons, there should be a very good reason why they leave, you know, because it isn't the step that they would make. And it doesn't mean that the DK Empire is dead. No, it's not. It doesn't mean. But they have lost some great powers out there. And I'm here to talk to you guys about why that happened. So, alliances require a lot of organization, structurizing, management, you know, communication. Especially that last part is important. Because if they don't have all that, then an alliance is going to fall apart and guilds are just going to do something that's not set in stone, and people are going to be annoyed with each other. And basically the point is, why am I in this alliance when there's not going to be any structurizing at all? Now, for a time now, there's been some arguments and misunderstandings and miscommunications between Majestic and the DK Empire, and also Only the Best and the DK Empire. There were situations in which they weren't informed about certain events happening in the alliance, in which they should have been told about, because it's important news, especially because they're basically the right hand, like the bodyguards of the Death Knights, because the Death Knights always hit in the top positions, and these guilds always made sure that the Death Knights were also always up there. So, you know, if they're not informed, then how can you communicate? How can you, like, participate? And there's a bunch of other stuff that happened, but that's, you know, I'm not going to go too much in depth with that, because it's not, you know, you just need to understand the general, you know, the general thing, why they left. So, eventually it came to the point where Majestic and Only the Best were like, you know, they end on reflecting on why they are still in the DK Empire. What's the purpose of being in the DK Empire? Is there still any value on being us in there? Are we still feeling the type of appreciation that we should be getting as being one of the top guilds out there, always helping out and supporting? And eventually they answered those questions with no, and that's why they decided to break up. Not long after that, also the Night Raiders left the DK Empire, and they all just had their differences, and they settled their differences in a very mature way. They talked about it, and they left on, I believe, high terms. I'm not sure about this, but I think they are, because, you know, specifically the guildmaster of Majestic, Mikey, he told me that, you know, they still have respect for what the DK Empire is doing, because, you know, they have been in the DK Empire for a long time. They've been seeing the good parts and the bad parts and the ugly parts, and just, you know, the good, the bad, and the ugly, just a movie reference, if you will. So they've been through it all, and they can, yeah, surely they can speak for themselves better than I can speak for them. So these are like literally words that I've gotten from the guildmaster from Majestic, and he said, we don't hold any grudges against the DK Empire. A lot of the people in the DK Empire are great people, you know, and that's just something that I need you guys to understand as well. Just because these guilds are leaving doesn't mean that they are dead. They're still alive and kicking and all that good stuff. But these guilds have been leaving because they wanted to pursue their own dreams in Knights and Dragons. You know, if there's so many guilds, if you're part of a great alliance, always sitting in the top positions, the challenge in the game also goes away. And you don't really have any challenge anymore. It's kind of getting boring and monotone. You're always doing these guild wars and spending a lot of money in these guild wars. And eventually it comes to the point where you get bored of the game, and then after boredom comes not being online and then quitting. And that's what people try to prevent, because Knights and Dragons is definitely a community driven game. You're always playing alongside with your friends. If you didn't have friends, you would probably quit the game by now. So, what have Majestic, Only the Best, the Night Raiders and the Beastmasters been doing lately? Well, they have decided to set up their own alliance, and I'm pretty proud to announce to you guys that the new alliance is called Legends of Liberty, and I'm going to elaborate the name a little bit later, but these guilds are part of a great alliance right now, and it's a new alliance. You got the DK Empire, you got the Rebels, you got the Coalition, you got the Wankers, you got the Mercenaries, but now you got the Legends of Liberty, which is really great, because that means that the top 10 is gonna be fireworks. I can guarantee you guys this much. So, what is the first goal of the Legends of Liberty? Well, they have been telling me with much pride that they want to at least try to make sure that the Death Knights is going to at least, like, for one or more times, is going to lose that top 1 position. Because, you know, I can understand that. I mean, I'm not hating the Death Knights, but they've always been in the first position. If I were to be in the top 10 guild, I would probably be like, well, I want to get first position here for a change as well. So, you know, because the Death Knights, month after month, almost for an entire year, first position, first position, first position, people are bound to get some hate towards the top dog, because people who are in first place always get hated the most, or YouTubers. You know, it's because they got a lot of exposure why they got hated, and I got a lot of respect for these guilds because they are doing really well. They always ensure the fact that they are hitting those top positions. So, Legends of Liberty, being the new alliance in there, kind of have the feeling to dethrone the Death Knights. But that's not all. They also told me that they want to promote fair play. Fair play is very important in the game. If there's no fair play, if everything is very nasty and disgusting and everything just get like fixed and everything, and the game gets no more fun. If the top 10 is locked in with the guilds that are always hitting the top 10, it means the game is fixed. And nobody else can, you know, enter or participate in the top 10, because, you know, there's no point, because these other guilds are always in there anyway. So what these guilds of Legends of Liberty are gonna try to do, or attempt to do, is get Knights and Dragons back to the way it used to be. And by that I mean making it more competitive by actually facing the Death Knights head on and trying to get those top positions, and it makes for a very nice change. I'm not gonna lie, the game for a lot of people was very boring, because, you know, you're always in the top. So, you know, Legends of Liberty, what they've been telling me is really great actually. They are gonna try to support independent guilds as well, in order to make the top positions out there, and I can rightfully say they have all the right in the world to try and attempt that, you know. And I very much appreciate that and respect that, and I wish them all the best. It's gonna be a hard journey, because these guilds have been leaving the biggest entity, Knights and Dragons. But maybe the game is going to change, you know. Times always change, and it's never easy to make it out there. But the Legends of Liberty, you know, the name, the reason why they picked that name is because if you take the first characters of the name, it spells out LOL. Which means, like, we all started playing Knights and Dragons in order to have fun, right? We never started playing Knights and Dragons to be like, ha, this is a game in which I'm going to spend so much money on in order to be first place. There's never been the intention. It's always the intention to play the game just to have fun. But later on, when you get more serious on the game, you kind of start to forget about the fun factor in the game. You start being very competitive about it, being very upset if you don't make your deadlines. And essentially the game becomes work, if you want to call it work. And these guilds are out there in order to try to bring out the gaming aspect of Knights and Dragons there once again. And I believe, you know, Knights and Dragons need that, at least on Android, to keep the game more lively. Because if, you know, everything is always going to be the same, I'm pretty sure a lot of people are going to be quitting. So I think this is a great thing. It's not great for the DK Empire, obviously, because they're losing some members out there. But if anything, I think you guys can agree on the fact that the game is going to be very interesting when it comes down to the Epic Guild Ball rewards. And I kind of want to leave on that note. I wish every single coalition, any type of alliance, all the best with whatever they're doing. Legends of Liberty, like, great stuff out there. I'm all for it, and wish you guys all the best. Even though you guys are a great alliance, you got some great names out there, so it's going to be really interesting. Upcoming days in these guild wars, the next videos, the actual epic guild war is going to be really cool and interesting to see what's going to happen. And that being said, I want to thank you guys so much for your attention. I hope you got something out of this. And that being said, this has been Reversal for Knights and Dragons, and make sure that if you guys like this video to boom, give it a thumbs up. This was Reversal for Knights and Dragons. I'll be signing off, and I'll see you guys in the next one.